Hello, Duck fans. Coming up on Once a Duck, regardless of if we ever see this again, other defensive coaches have to prepare for it. What are you going to do? All that and more coming up on Once a Duck.
Where's your favorite place to take college game day? And I say every time, Eugene, Oregon.
That's right, Duck fans. We are back with another episode of the Once a Duck podcast. I am Sam Schmidt. Of course, here with me, the host of this show, the one, the only, the headband wearing Nick Cody. How's it going, buddy?
Pretty damn good, Sam. How are you doing? I am happy to be here with you guys after another Ducks win down in Pasadena. I wasn't there to enjoy it like some people, but as always, happy to see the fan reaction. And as always, you're able to reach out to us at Once a Duck on Twitter, at Samuel101TS, or myself at Nick R. Cody. All of those on, well, X, Twitter, all your social media platforms. You can find us there. And as you've probably noticed, Sam has been putting in work on the Instagram to remind people of old episodes, give people a flashback of what we've been doing this season, and just catching everybody up. And thank you for doing that, Sam. Everyone appreciates it.
Well, I got to tell you, Nick, I was on there the other day and I realized we've not been doing a good job with the Instagram presence so far this season. So I decided to put up the last few episodes. We're going to get more clips going on there. So folks, follow out Once a Duck on Instagram to be sure to keep up with any and all of that upcoming content, including episodes just like the one you're about to hear now, talking all about the last Duck game we saw and the upcoming game. That last game, Oregon versus UCLA. Nick, I know you had a very detailed rewatch. Before we get into the game day atmosphere of the Rose Bowl and get into all of that, what were just your first reactions from that rewatch?
Yeah, as I told a lot of you, I had a comedy show, and unfortunately, at the time, I was really focused on that. Did get at least go up early, get my set out of the way, and then immediately got to watch a little bit of the football game and got to catch some of that Washington State Boise game too. But yeah, at the end of the day, at the rewatch, I'm telling you, that's not a UCLA team I expected to see, even going into it with our predictions. Just the way they played, it was. I mean, quite frankly, embarrassing. And I was there. I just watched the clip from 2009 in my first start where Neuheisel is apologizing at the end of the game against us and just asking the students and fans to give him another shot next week and keep rooting for him. And this was such a different animal. I was thinking at the end of that game, I not just proud of our Ducks for the way they basically came out really well prepared. And then when they had some moments of adversity, you saw how much these guys cared about each other. I'll say that without getting into too much detail because we'll be talking about it in plenty of detail. But yeah, that was my experience. And in the rewatch, got to see a lot of things that really, really interested me, especially going further in the Big Ten season that I think are going to come up really, really big in some of the big matchups we have coming up.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. And I'm kind of one of the few people I think that's kind of happy with how UCLA played that game, just in that that's the kind of intensity you're going to be seeing as part of the Big Ten. That's the type of aggression you're going to be seeing. UCLA was playing that game like it was their rivalry game, like as if they did have a number of former Ducks on that team, which of course we know they do. They played with that kind of energy, and I think that's something this Oregon team is going to have to be ready for week in and week out with this new Big Ten schedule coming up. I don't know about if this is what you saw, Nick. I'll say I thought about the first 29 minutes of that game, awesome.
Yeah.
So well, so good. Oregon looked phenomenal. They were moving the ball. They were playing great on defense. And then once the end of the first half rolled around, it definitely, I won't want to say changed the game completely because Oregon still remained in control throughout the second half, even if they weren't putting up those kind of numbers. But you definitely were able to see at least a little bit of what has to happen when Oregon is in a spot of adversity, the kind of difficulty they had getting through it at first, before finding a comfortable spot to end up in by the fourth quarter.
Well, and if you count that interception and by our podcast rules, once a duck, that still was a duck score technically. So, gave him one there, and I think you saw, especially from the remarks of Dylan Gabriel after the game, he really wanted that play back. And hey, it's a great learning moment to have when you're up in a game. And to figure that out on the road early in the season before it's a really big impact play that impacts or turns a game. So better to learn that in the end of the first half than the end of a game scenario. So I think it was a great learning situation for the Ducks, and especially, they may have. I've heard a lot of criticism that they throttled it down at the end of the game, but I just think when you're in those situations, there's so much to be said with having a defense that can put their foot on the throat of the offense and then just securing the football and securing the football game. And I was really happy. Well, we'll get it again. Really happy with a lot of players. We'll get into our favorite players here pretty soon.
Exactly. And I know we're going to break down that end of the half interception a little bit when we go through our tape time segment coming up. But I do got to tell you, Nick, the Rose Bowl is a special place.
It is.
The Rose Bowl is a very fun, special place. Playing on natural grass, being in that historic venue, the all one bowl setup that still is able to fit 90K if you need to. It's a heck of a setting. I love that setting for Oregon to be able to kick off Big Ten play with familiarity, but also a place that has a lot of history for both the Pac-12 and the Big Ten.
Yeah, and it's obviously just the game day experience. I mean, obviously nothing compares to the actual Rose Bowl game, but even being able to be out there with so many Ducks that are in the SoCal area, out there tailgating. I heard so many great things. What's your experience like?
Well, Nick, I got to tell you, it was as I tend to do on game days, everything is stress and anxiety until I get to where we're going. That's just my approach. I'm gonna be in the store, like, we gotta go, we gotta get the stuff, we gotta get outside, right? But frankly, phenomenal game day. Was able to stay in Pasadena the night before, woke up, watched some college football, enjoyed those first few games of the day. Hit the store, had to get everything you need for the tailgate. Got out there, and there really is very few places in college football better to tailgate, frankly.
Yeah.
There are lots of great venues. Eugene is beautiful, of course. Everybody likes hanging out, whether it's in the parking lot or across the street with the Boy Scouts, but nothing beats 18 holes of beautiful green grass, trees lined everywhere, and people using fairways to throw deep balls. It was a heck of a time. We were out there, we had the TV set up. There were a couple people around us that did as well. So we were all able to have different games on while everyone was walking around, checking out what was happening. We all watched that incredible Georgia Alabama game while we
Oh
were out
yeah.
there tailgating, getting ready to go. But my God, I've got to say, I think the thing that impressed me most, and you mentioned it, is just the turnout of Duck fans. We all know that there are lots of Duck fans in Southern California and California in general. It's a place that houses more Oregon alumni than any other state in the country. And they absolutely showed out. Whether it was up above the team bench or whether it was behind the end zone, white and green and yellow filled that building. There was plenty of blue and gold, but there were so many Duck fans. The Duck fans showed out. They were loud. They were cheering. When UCLA had the ball near the Oregon end zone, it was loud. It wasn't Autzen loud, but it was loud. There were people yelling, screaming, cheering into it. It was a really, really fun environment. If anybody has the chance to, I'll always suggest hitting up the Rose Bowl, even if it's for a UCLA game, well worth the experience.
Man, every time I've been, it's always been fun. Whether as a player or again in 2020 when we got to go there, that was another special day. But hey, at the end of the day, you get the W. That's the important thing. First technical Big Ten conference win in the Oregon program history. And, you get to do it against a couple former Ducks that were not too happy about the way that game ended. And we're definitely trying to make it known during the game.
Well, I mean, should we just start by saying Brian Addison was playing with some aggression? He was playing a little. He was playing to play some football. I'll say that much.
He
I would
was
have.
he was
Go ahead.
bringing little bit of that WWE ruthless aggression to a point. I was thinking there, but it just yeah.
No, it was definitely attitude era, Brian Adams. I don't think anyone's gonna doubt that whatsoever. Whether it was the big hit on Ferguson, which I know some Duck fans wanted to say that there was a penalty there. I didn't. I thought it was just a big football play, like a hard hit.
Yeah. I mean, probably in nowadays standards, it's a coin flip, but yeah, I agree. And back in my day, I don't think they'd call that.
Back in your day, they were letting Dion Jordan kill people, so I think that they would have been kind of all right with it.
Yeah, those UCLA highlights that you've reposted before, they definitely prove it. Yeah, murder would be what Dion would be charged with now if he did
It's
that.
multi-game suspension, the whole 9 yards. He's gonna have to go on College game day and write a full apology. It would be a whole thing. It would be an entire thing if that happened in this day and age. But fortunately, that wasn't what took the cake from this game. That wasn't the real highlight of it. The real highlight of it, if you're asking me, was just the balance with which Oregon was able to play. The defense, they've been lights out. They were lights out. But the offense, being able to see Gabriel 278 yards, 31 of 41 passing. And then in the running game, Jordan James, another game over 100 yards, 103 on 20 carries, as well as a touchdown that we're going to look at in the highlights. Gabriel, he was running for the first time, it felt like this season. Besides the long run we saw him have against Oregon State, he really looked like he was trying to scramble, pick up yards, do the kind of things that we knew Dylan Gabriel could do when he decided to become an Oregon Duck. Beyond that, Noah Whittington got some run. We saw some Jaden Lamar run. And then I think the thing that I love the most, besides, and we know this, Tez Johnson's probably going to have close to double the catches of anybody else in a given game. It's just the way this offense is designed right now. It's the way that it's playing out. But beyond that, the fact that you were able to get 5 receptions from Holden, 4 from Sadiq, you're able to get 3 of them from Stewart, and then 2 from Herbert, James, and Lowe. By the way, love seeing Justice Lowe be able to get a little bit of run out there, whether it was in the screen game or however you want it. I really, really liked to see Oregon continue to spread the ball, continue to get everybody involved. There's such a depth of talent on this team. Every single position, you can just go down the roster, find guys who will be starting at most Division One programs around the country. And being able to see more of those guys get involved, I think that only spells good things to come throughout the rest of the year.
Absolutely. And the utilization of certain players in other positions, whether it's or just in different ways, whether it's like Sadiq or getting to see Murray Washington in the backfield on the offense, I've just been really impressed with the way that we've been able to utilize that depth in a variety of ways. Another group that obviously needs to be talked about, the big guys up front, both sides of the ball. I think the move with Struther to left guard, and then you have an Harper and on the right guard spot, and then putting Poncho right there in the center has been a really good, consistent basis lineup for us. Um, and just really, when you get the running game going, it makes everything easier. It makes everything easier for the offensive linemen as well. And then on the defensive line, oh my goodness. Like I had said, that Harmon and Birch and a lot of these guys could make it really, really difficult. Well, they did. That UCLA offense, I felt so bad for, anytime you see a quarterback injured, you're like, man, if you don't have a shot at the game, what are you doing putting him back in? Like, why are we just sacrificing this guy? So felt really bad for Garbers there for a couple moments because yeah, there was some moments there as
He
everybody
was getting dinged
noticed.
up a little bit. Yeah, there were. I'm just gonna read them out right here because in terms of sacks and tackles for loss, Oregon was
Yeah,
very active as a group in that game. Jeffrey Bossa was able to get in there and have a sack. I know that's one that made a lot of Duck fans very
yeah.
happy after not seeing a ton of him from the first couple of weeks. You
Glad,
also
glad to see him healthy.
exactly see him fully healthy, see him in the game for more than just situational moments. Also, you were able to have Mateo with a sack, uh, Jordan Birch with a sack, as well as the 2 tackles for loss. The back-to-back plays in the second quarter were just decimating to UCLA's offense at that point. He absolutely just destroyed what they were trying to do there. Also, Derek Harmon and Justin Jacobs shared a sack together. Great to see. That's Justin Jacobs, another guy that I know a lot of Duck fans were kind of wondering, where is he? We're not seeing a whole lot of him so far. Great to be able to see him get in on that. Had 4 tackles throughout the entire game as well. And one more guy I want to mention who I think some Duck fans were kind of wondering, why isn't he quite as involved as much? Where are the numbers? Kobe Savage, 5 tackles, 3 of them solo, getting his nose in on the action in this one. A lot of fun to see. I know that's a guy many Duck fans have been curious about, have been wanting to see, whether it's more from or just be able to see something on that score sheet from. And he delivered. He was
Yeah.
terrific in this game.
Well, and speaking of delivery, the guy that has obviously so much to do in his athletic career outside of this season, but is playing the lights out. Bryce Batcher, man, this guy. Obviously, you're going to hear about it from every single person calling the game already about him being a two-sport athlete. But this
Wait, what?
guy,
What's that, Nick? He plays
I,
2 sports?
I know, shocking, right?
What? You're kidding me right now. There's no way.
Ah, man, but this guy, I mean, you could tell he is playing inspired football, and there's nothing like it. You love to see it, and every time you see guys that just have that thing, it makes everybody's level of play rise that much higher because that guy is out there every time, the instincts, the ability to find the ball and the ability to make tackles and just how he moves in space. I mean, the guy has such football instincts. I think that's the best way to really put it out there. And you're like, oh yeah, and he's gonna play in the MLB. Like, I can't even imagine. It's awesome. And yeah, one of my favorite Ducks to watch this season because he's bringing it, man. And without him, I don't know if this defense is playing at the level that it's at right now.
Well, he's the number one, he's the leading tackler on
Yeah.
this team so far through the season. But also, we were talking about this while watching the game, and it was one of those things where it was almost a little bit deceiving, at least the why of it. And we were talking about Bryce Betcher. It was right after the interception that we're going to look at here in just a few minutes. We were commenting on the fact that he looks quicker than he did last year. And it took only half a second for everybody to recognize, I don't know if he's quicker, but he understands what's happening out there so much more. Everything's so much
Yeah.
more instinctual. He's moving where he needs to without really thinking about it. When we pull up that play for the interception, you'll be able to see right there just what a good feel he has for that zone that he's playing right there. Being able to move down and make that kind of a play was phenomenal. Really, just such an impressive player. I know we mentioned him in our guides of the games last week, but it totally worth mentioning again. Absolutely phenomenal job by him. So fun to see that guy also be able to get rewarded with the interception like that.
Yep. Yep, definitely. I don't know about rewarded, but he went out there and basically ran a better route than receiver. But we'll get to that. Otherwise, putting a cap on it, I think that's basically our summary of our players of the game so far. So let's take it into plays of the game.
That's right, folks. It's time again for our tape time segment. We've got 5 of our, I don't know about all favorite, but the biggest plays from this past game between Oregon and UCLA, and we're gonna take a look at those now. Why don't you walk us through here what we're gonna be looking at?
Yeah, guys, we've got a basic, you're in 1st and 15, obviously, getting backed up. You want to get some of those yards back. So obvious kind of potential passing down, probably expecting a screen here if you're the Oregon defense. But as you can see, we've got 3 down linemen with the stand-up defensive end and pretty much declaring right now who's matched up with who. And then as soon as we get the ball snapped, I think you get to see the great athleticism of the player we were talking about earlier. Right here, the wide receiver kind of takes a little bit too much time on the route here and doesn't really commit to it. Not very sharp with that cut. But as you can see right here, Betcher already knows exactly where the ball is going to be. And with, the nervousness of Garbers right there, the pressure he's about to get in the pocket, gets rid of the ball and boom, right there into our friendly Oregon linebackers' hands. And what a play. Your thoughts as we see it one more time.
Well, man, I got to tell you, this is exactly what we were talking about when we said that it seemed like Betcher's instincts had improved. You see how he's moving. It's so fluid. He knows exactly where to be. And does it help that the ball is a little low and behind? Yes, it absolutely does. I'd be lying if I said it didn't. But his reaction to that, the way that he was able to make the play on the ball, phenomenal stuff that, frankly, I'm not sure we would have been able to see out of Bryce Betcher last year. This year, this is the type of thing that we can expect from a guy who's, I'd say, solidified himself as a starting linebacker on this Oregon team.
Great instincts. You love to see it. And again, if that ball isn't delivered right there, Garbage is going down for a sack. The pocket completely collapsing around him with nothing fancy out there. That's just defense playing defense. Love to see it.
And credit to the defense. The pass is low and behind because of that pressure, because they're in his face. He has no ability to step into that pass. That's just your defense working as a whole right there. The guys up front creating the pressure, creating the discomfort to let the guys behind them be able to eat up on the play.
Absolutely. All right, moving on to the next one. We're at 327. All right. This is something I'm excited to get into here. This is Big Ten football, baby. No wide receivers on the damn field, okay? Get them on the sideline. We're in the red zone. We're about to punch it in and set the tone for this game. I love it. It's 10-3. What you got to do is get up 2 scores here. And how are you going to do it? You're going to put defensive tackle Amari Washington in the backfield. And no, he's not alone, my friends. Oregon fans, you might not know what this position is. It's called a fullback. We're going to put one of those in there too. We're going to sit our quarterback right behind him somehow and a kind of old school, like a double T pistol. We got a tight end, and the offensive line is ready to go. And what are they going to do, Sam?
Smash, smash, smash.
Into the end zone you go, young man. Please silence them there in the Rose Bowl. Not that they need to be silenced. It's usually pretty quiet there. But love to see it. The entire team loves to see it. And you get a backup on defense involved. As I was saying earlier, man, when you have the depth that this Oregon team has and the talent that they have, man, just look at the amount of beef we've got on the field right now. I'm telling you, you could have put entire offensive line groups that we had back in my day on the field at all 11 positions, and we wouldn't have the mass and power of this group. I love it. I love seeing it, and it's going to benefit us big, not just regardless of if we ever see this again. Other defensive coaches have to prepare for it. What are you going to do? What are
Also,
you going to do?
Nick, what I love on this is not only do you get Washington right there laying down a big shot immediately, you also have Gracie getting up through that hole and making a block. I know that's a guy, number 44. He's listed as a tight end on this team. His most impressive moments this year have been playing the fullback position. I absolutely love what they have done in terms of the power run game this season. If it's something that you can do, like Oregon's capable of, there's no reason not to. It plays like this is a perfect example of why.
Yeah, you could call it a tight end, but when you're wearing a number that looks like and plays like Mike Allscott, I'm telling you, that's a fullback, my guy. That's a fullback right through there, getting the hole. John Mann said, boom. I love it, man. That's Big Ten football. That's Big Ducky football, and a touchdown for Jordan James. What, is going to be one of many of his Duck career here in the Big Ten. All right. Moving on to our next play. Okay. 348.
Exactly, Nick. This next one we have coming up, it's a fun play because there's something that was pointed out. I want to be able to point it out again here. Credit to whoever was it who mentioned it first. I'm not going to be the first. I'm certainly not going to be the last. What I really love about this play, and this is the deep ball from Dylan Gabriel to Tez Johnson there, almost halfway through the second quarter. What I love is that this looks so similar to something Oregon did just a couple weeks before against Oregon State. Once you get the play going, you'll see Gabriel, he moves to that left side, and the entire Bruin defense sucks up toward him, ready for that exact kind of run play they did against Oregon State. And what happens? Not one, not two, three receivers get behind. Why not hit Mr. Reliable? Deep ball to Tez Johnson for a touchdown right there.
Oh, man. And what you love about this play, too, is not only do you get the wide receiver wide open with nobody near him, but the offensive line's job is easy. You just move the pocket to this guy's strong hand a little bit, and, you've got a Johnny sitting there, already a great pass protector, and he gets to just wait and load up. As soon as you make contact, he can just run, lock you up, bam, the entire offensive line there doing their job, productive. What to get you? A nice Oregon touchdown from Tez Johnson, who, as we said, had a day, as we're going to see probably many more days as this season progresses.
Exactly. If you let this play just for a second, Nick, what you'll be able to see is they show exactly this view right here. You see Tez come out of the middle of that trips formation, be able to kind of cut under that route that's closest to the inside, sheds that defender, gets wide open. Absolutely beautiful design, beautiful play. There's nothing else I can say besides just very well done. Will Stein, 10 out of 10 on that one.
Absolutely, man. And just overall, that's a situation you're putting the defense in terrible, terrible spots. See, when these guys are just chasing and give up, that's when you know you've coordinated something that is great and is going to end up as a Duck touchdown. All right, moving on to our next play. Oh, yeah. This one we got to cover.
We got to talk
It,
about
we wouldn't be once a Duck if we did not.
it.
Okay, here we are, right here. You've got 24 seconds left in the half, you guys. All you got to do is just protect the football. You can come away with 3 more points. Put this in a 31-3 game at halftime. I know Dylan Gabriel wants this ball back, but we're once a Duck. We've got to at least consider this a Duck touchdown. Former Duck Addison does come up here, get Gabriel a little bit outside the pocket. Receiver falls down, but give UCLA credit here. Give credit where it's due. Everybody on the defense is always fired up when you get one of those, and it was their best offense of the day. We can say that. So as long as a Ducks player was UCLA's best offensive play of the day, I'll give it a little pass.
Well, Nick, I want to ask right here what you see happens on this play. Where's the real breakdown? Where is the moment of either indecision or poor decision making that leads to this? It looks as if there's an Oregon player that falls down on the play, but I don't want to completely blame that for the outcome.
Well, here at the end of the day, right here, I don't like whenever you've got your center starting to turn around with a guy. That was just unnecessary. That's one thing right there that just could make Dylan Gabriel a little more comfortable. And in a perfect world, if he doesn't have that pressure, I believe he gets rid of the football right here, open space, right there. Just right about 2 yards out from the end zone and pick up the yards, get down there. You've got 2 timeouts, take your time. But unfortunately, gets a little bit of happy feet, and you never want to honestly throw off your back foot like that. Now, listen to me. I don't have a great arm. I'm not a great arm talent, but I know a lot about having good feet. And where your feet go, your eyes go, you're going to throw the ball, okay? If you're not comfortable there in the pocket and able to set up, and you're trying to kind of flutter back there, especially when you're throwing across your body, technically as a left-hander there, I have to imagine that's already a difficult situation. And at the end of the day, the wide receiver you wanted to get it to ended up trying to break off their route, get loose, and there at the Rose Bowl, very natural grass field, and as natural painted grass will go, that comes up very easy. And I know I was slipping and sliding around many times at the Rose Bowl. It's been a problem. So that'll happen. Props to a former Duck, at least. Big play for him. And again, biggest play UCLA had in the day, and not the kind of taste you want in your mouth going into halftime.
Well, that's the best way to put it, Nick, because it really was just a real damp ending to what had been a very, very strong half of football. As I said, 29 minutes of this game, Oregon looked every single part of a top 6, top 5 team in the country. That second half wasn't bad. I don't think it's as bad as some people were saying it was. Also wasn't phenomenal. It
Yeah.
was a bit sloppier, a bit less precise, if you will. I think this Oregon team, if they can play the way they did for that first 29 minutes for a full ball game, that's a really, really scary team.
Oh,
But that's something I need to see first.
absolutely. And that's just it comes especially with a, new quarterback and a young team, just learning opportunities will be there. And another thing I liked that, later in the game, obviously with the Terrence Ferguson injury, you just love seeing guys step up. And in that moment, Dylan Gabriel getting fired up, getting over there, getting in Addison's face, and then Tez obviously kind of sticking it to him with the hit stick a little bit later in this game. We won't go over those as highlight plays, but just notable plays that showed me a lot from this team and this game that I was impressed with in my watcher. All right, Sam, what do we got for our last highlight play here?
Last highlight play. We hit the first one. We're gonna have to hit the second one. Dylan Gabriel to Tez Johnson. This was a play that it appeared as if maybe the first option, second option, third option weren't there. We were able to see a little bit of the escapability, the movement of Gabriel. He's able to find Tez in the end zone on this play. But I would love to hear from your perspective what you see from the offense right here, where you kind of see things breaking down, and then how, unlike that last play, Gabriel's able to kind of read it correctly and make a touchdown pass out of it.
Yeah, so what you know right now is this safety right here is playing off the hash a little bit, and you've got both safeties shifted over to towards the three receiver side, and they're threatening pressure up front. I can't tell. Looks a little bit like a bear front. No, that's a linebacker stepping up there. But again, they're threatening a six-man pressure here, potential, but with the amount of wide receivers they have to cover, you know that that guy probably can't come. And if he does, quarterback has a hot throw, nice and easy read. But those guys take a step, and for whatever reason, they bring a late blitzer from far away. Not the best defensive strategy when you're playing a team that has you outmatched like Oregon does at wide receiver with that UCLA defensive backfield. As you can see right here, protection is really solid. Back has his man honed in and is ready to clean up anything coming through. Quarterback has at least 3 yards of space to set up, deliver the football, and shifts, has time, gets it right out to Tez Johnson. So, looking at it again, when you give your quarterback that much time, that late blitzer isn't a problem, even if the back misses it. Kind of gets a little chip at him late, right? But just enough to make it so get to go get your quarterback to his comfortable hand, get it to his wide receiver, and go celebrate with your teammates, guys. That's the best part. Don't let that chippiness bullshit step in there. Go celebrate with your teammates. I still hear chip in my head right now. I can't help it. But
I,
you got to
I
love
love this.
that.
I love this angle
Go
right
ahead.
here, Nick, because you're able to kind of see from behind Gabriel how it all develops. And I mean, frankly, I feel like this is a play where you can just see his comfortability with Tez Johnson. He's got his eye on him, it seems almost the whole way, tracing him across that end zone. And then a heck of a ball right there to get it in that window fast enough to not let the defender who's right there by Sadiq be able to react to that.
That and that's like anticipation right there. Look at that
Yep.
release. That's
Yep.
knowing your team and your teammate and how, like most people that, you go, like you were saying, you sling it around at the 18 holes at the Rose Bowl and you think you could be a good quarterback. Well, try and make this throw right here because you already are releasing the ball right here
Yep.
and putting it right on the spot for your guy. Couldn't be a better ball placement. Couldn't, just overall, the chemistry of this team, I think, was the highlight of this game for me more than any of the plays. But it sure is fun to see not just that Connerly out there finishing his block. He doesn't know necessarily in that situation is the quarterback behind me or not. He just knows I got to finish this play because that's Oregon football, man. Love seeing that. Love seeing Dylan Gabriel out there fired up. Hoping Terrence Ferguson is healthy, feeling better, and those kind of hits you're always nervous because yeah, especially somebody that's had some concussions. Some of those can take a while to kind of shake off, but hey, everybody stepped it up, and you could tell that that was a big gut check for this team, and to yeah, regardless of whether people's expectations were like our score predictions a little bit off on the offensive side, but I think this team did enough, especially defensively, to warrant the kind of gameplay that they came out with, stuck with, and it basically ended up finishing this game in a way late night that they could get out there, get on the plane early, and get home with as few injuries as possible.
Well, credit to them. They got home way before I did, which I was certainly jealous of that. And the other thing I wanted to hit on that you mentioned, Nick, trust me, there was nobody among us that was throwing the ball out on the fairways that thought we were going to be able to play quarterback. We were all walking into the stadium going, "Why does my shoulder hurt after 10 minutes of throng a ball around?
There's
How
always
out of shape are we?"
there's always one guy, and he won't say it without the guys of the internet in front of him. Anyways, I love that. No guest this week, but getting to break down film is always fun. And hey, that's a way to put a bow on UCLA this week. as great Bill Belichick once said, on to Cincinnati.
On to Cincinnati, indeed. In this case, the Cincinnati that happens to reside up in East Lansing, Michigan, that's the Michigan State Spartans.
Yeah, we are good at geography here at Once a Duck, and definitely are going to educate you on some things now that we're in the Big Ten country trying to figure out where are these places. But thankfully, we are very familiar with a couple pieces of the team, specifically the quarterback and the head coach. Jonathan Smith coming back to a place he is familiar with not only as a head coach, but also as a player. So, very interested in how he is able to find the kind of motivation he was able to in previous Civil War games and apply it to this Michigan State Spartans team.
Well, the fact that that team's made up of some of the best Beavers from last year does certainly help in that argument. But something I will ask you, and it's a fun little trivia point. Do you know what Jonathan Smith's all-time record against Oregon is as a player and coach?
Ooh, man. I know whatever my answer is going to be because I don't even know the total that would be. Let's say I want to say he's like 5-6.
I believe, and I could be wrong. So, Once a Duck fans, please tell me. But I believe we looked this up earlier. I believe he is 4-7 all time. Those four wins coming in Corvallis, those seven losses happen to be in Eugene.
Wow. That's great. Well, yeah, that's well, then I wasn't anticipating being that close. I was like, pretty sure my math was going to be off. But hey, that's why I graduated in football, not math. But doing the math this week, Michigan State is not having the kind of year I think that they were hoping to. But regardless, with the coaching change and everything that's been going on with that program, I don't know what they expected. But what I do know is that they got a hell of a talented quarterback. And with a guy like Jonathan Smith, that always gives you the potential for danger. So, what do you think about this matchup this week, Sam? And what can the Ducks do to shut down this Michigan State offense before it gets going?
Well, first and foremost, I mean, you mentioned it. Aiden Childs is starting quarterback. He was quite a talented backup when he was there with Oregon State. He's got 1,058 yards so far passing this season. Right now, though, he's about at 56.3%. So there's some stuff to be taken advantage of there, if you will. There have been some miscues for sure. 5 touchdowns, 8 interceptions so far this season. So you're watching a young guy work through those kinks, work through trying to figure out how to be the starter in a Big Ten situation, be a part of that. I think something that's important to remember is that Jonathan Smith didn't turn Oregon State around in a season. He didn't turn them around in 2 seasons. By that third year, they started to look formidable, and by that fourth year, they were a problem. So what I'm going to tell you is that while Michigan State, they might not be the type of team who's necessarily going to finish the season with 8 or 9 wins, they're absolutely the type of team that's going to be able to keep games close, be able to keep things competitive. Even though they lost to Ohio State 38-7, that game was tight until late in the second quarter when Ohio State was finally able to push out a little bit and be able to really take advantage and take control of that ball game. The Spartans, though, you gotta look out. Michigan State is Michigan State. They're gonna run the ball. They're gonna try to be effective and balanced. And defensively, if you're the Oregon offense, just play your style. Just do you. Play your game. When you look at what Michigan State's done this season, they're 3-2. Their wins come against FAU, Prairie View, excuse me, and a really, really tight game with Maryland, another opponent Oregon has coming to Eugene later in this season. The losses, of course, a close loss to Boston College and the 38-7 loss to Ohio State.
Yeah.
Oregon, we all know, should be able to take care of business in this game, but you're dealing with a team with a very familiar head coach, as you mentioned, in Jonathan Smith. He knows this Ducks team. He knows what Dan Lanning likes to do. And frankly, until the late in the second quarter of the Oregon State game last year, until that Troy Franklin touchdown that really kind of blew open the game, it was tight and competitive and back and forth and physical. And you can guarantee that's what Michigan State's going to try to bring to Eugene on Friday.
Absolutely. And they're going to have to because Oregon's going to be bringing it, especially along the defensive front. As always, I'm going to be expecting Birch, Harmon, Amari Washington, maybe somebody we're not expecting to make Aiden Childs really have to not only feel the pressure, but utilize his athleticism. That's one area of this game I have a little bit of concern, but I'm also interested to see how the Ducks face that challenge because as we saw early in the Oregon State game, that was a little bit of a problem whenever we got the Beavers into third and long, quarterback was able to extend plays. So this is definitely a quarterback that can do that, but also that can create opportunities for turnover. So I'm expecting at least two Duck forced turnovers this weekend. So we're not getting into predictions yet, but that is what I expect out of Autzen on a Friday night, even though we have a short week. So do they. And you know what? They just came off of playing Ohio State. This is a young quarterback, like you said. I believe at some point he's going to have the pressure of a big man in his face that used to be a former Michigan State Spartan and Harmon himself. And I think he is going to deliver the ball to someone on the Ducks team. But it's just right now, the way I'm feeling, leaning towards the game. Sam, I know you're going to be there. What is your expectations, at least for the fan base going into this game?
Nick, there's going to be something very special about this game, and it's something that I think is special every single season. It's the first game with students.
Yeah.
First game with students is always different, always excited. It's packed out with 18-year-old freshmen away from their families for the first time, able to do all the things they want to do, go to these games, be loud, be raucous, have a lot of fun. Frankly, you always want to see everybody stay till the end of the game. I know the players want that, the coaches want that. I want that as a fan. But also, if they feel comfortable enough to leave after shout, I don't think that's going to be a bad thing in this game. This would be the type of game where, you know what, you might be able to put yourself in a position where people feel like they can take a couple steps back or maybe see what's happening later in the night just a bit early. That being said, though, Michigan State, they do, of course, present their challenges. I think their best defensive player is Jordan Turner, number 7, the linebacker. Already 31 tackles and 3 sacks on the season through 5 games. He's been very productive, been able to get all over the field, has an interception so far this year as well. He's, I would say, substantially their most premier defensive player. Watch for number 7. He's going to be roaming the middle of that defense for Michigan State.
Love it, man. I wish I were able to be down there. I will be at the Seattle Ducks watch party up here at GameWorks in Seattle, which is an awesome, fun venue. It'll be my first time getting out there this season. Excited to see all the Ducks out there this Friday. But another important thing, and it's why I'm wearing the Stomp Out Cancer shirt here. It is October. It is typically, as we know from Oregon, they usually find some kind of tribute for breast cancer awareness. But this uniform is very, very extra special. We weren't able to talk about it in our previous interview with the Van Horns this season, but they kind of gave you a little hint that something special was coming this season. And man, the Ducks released the video this week. Tear came to my eye with the assisted design from Sophia Lanning and family. We have the Heroes uniform from the Oregon Ducks. And Sam, you've got it right there. It's, the with Fanatics, I'm always a little bit worried about these jerseys, but that one looks top notch. How do you feel about it?
Well, Nick, I'll tell you this. I think we can sit here and talk about Fanatics, Nike deal, jersey quality, all of that stuff all day long if we want to. Strictly from a design standpoint, from how it's going to look on the field, I'm pretty certain this might be my favorite yellow uniform Oregon's ever had. It really might be. And there are so many details that work so well. First and foremost, we know that with these fly area uniforms, the combination of the wing, the diamond plate, you probably can't see it on there, but you do have the carbon fiber print within the wing, as well as within the number where it's not corrugated, if you will. And I think my favorite part, each of these sleeve patches is phenomenal. Each of these sleeve patches is so good. Whether it's the fight one with the little medical cross in there, as Sophia was able to point out during the video, and maybe it's my favorite patch I've ever seen on an Oregon uniform ever. This Stomp Out Cancer is just phenomenal design. The bell in the middle, all the colors being represented on the bottom, the silver wing, it's some phenomenal work by the Van Horns. I was able to actually text Quinn earlier today. I wanted to tell him, I was like, man, I was able to pick this up. I love this. This is probably my favorite thing we've had the chance to do. he was sure to be able to say, look, it was a phenomenal project. We were so glad to be able to do it. We're so glad it's had the reception it has, that it's been appreciated the way it has. And I think that that is only going to be more cemented after watching what happens on Friday night. And by the way, fans, don't worry. In that conversation with Quinn, he did tell me that he would like to come back with us at some point throughout this season and talk to us. Just give us a little update on how things have been going throughout the year from that standpoint. So look forward to that coming up in a future Once a Duck episode.
Well, I know it. We'll love it. Our fans will love it, and I love these uniforms. As you guys know that follow the show, my mom just survived breast cancer a little bit before, and I lost my dad to colon cancer. So the way they were able to incorporate all the different forms of the cancer ribbons into the colorways on the tips of the shoes and into the jersey in little bits and the patches. I mean, the way they were able to take the input from Dan Lanning's kids and their experiences with Sophia going through cancer, the incorporation of the ice cream cone design, because whenever they'd go to visit her with treatments, the one thing they looked forward to was ice cream. And man, like that, it hits. It's everything that Once a Duck is about. It's family. It's everything, man. And I love, like you pointed out, the Bell logo, because those survivors get to go ring the bell, and every day you got to wake up, find your own reason to ring the bell and attack life, and whatever your reason is, just know somebody is out there probably dealing with a whole lot more difficult situation than you. So that's why I love the little details. And yeah, big shout out to Quinn. It was really awesome to see the release. And especially as, Oregon stepped up its media game a lot this Big Ten season, but this has been the most impressive one so far. This reveal really just took you back behind the scenes of what makes Oregon and these uniforms great. And everybody that out there that complains and says, "Oh, it's all flash," or whatever their complaints are, I'm happy to recognize that easily who's missing the point, because these are meant from the heart, man, and truly for and by heroes.
You're 100% right about that, Nick. And I think that what I love, maybe more than anything about these uniforms, is just what they represent. You mentioned family, you mentioned everything that we here at Once a Duck approve, appreciate, and want to see from this fan base. Being able to see the amount of not just Duck fans, but just football fans, uniform fans, people that happened to cross it who just loved it and enjoyed it. I sent the video to my mom, to my grandmother, and they watched it and they were like, this is phenomenal. We can't wait to watch it on this field. We can't wait to watch this game. We can't wait to watch this team play and have just such a wonderful cause with the look. Also, it helps that it looks unbelievably good.
Yep. Yeah, and you know me, I love yellow uniforms. The one picture I've got of myself, one of my favorite uniform combos with the black and yellow, but this is slick. I really, really enjoy it, and I hope we play up to the standards that those uniforms put out there, because they damn sure deserve it. The last time we had UCLA there with the breast cancer awareness uniforms, worked out pretty well for us. I would love to see a performance like that from the Duckies again. But without any further ado, it's that time. Always gets me a little nervous. Sam, this week you're going first, though. It's prediction time.
I am going first this week, Nick, and I've got to tell you, I scanned high and low, scrolling, reading, doing all the research I can possibly do, which granted isn't very much, but it is a little bit granted. And I will say, I think what I've seen from this Michigan State team is their defense is good enough to keep you from absolutely blowing them out. The way Ohio State did it is they were able to shut down the offense more so than any team had been able to so far this season. I would love to see Oregon be able to do something similar. I think Oregon, they might be able to put up a couple more points than Ohio State did, but I think they're probably going to give up a couple more as well, which is why I've got this one finishing 41-13 Oregon. I feel like this is the
Man,
game where you're able to get those 5 touchdowns, a couple of field goals, or hey, maybe just a missed extra point. It's completely possible. We've seen it a couple times. We know it can happen. And then Michigan State, whether it's a touchdown, whether it's a bunch of field goals, they're at 13, 12, 13, somewhere in there feels about right for where they'll finish off this game.
oh, man, I should have had it written down, because now it's going to feel like the same thing you do to me, where you just slightly adjust the score by 1 or 2 possessions. Yeah, I had it this game 38-17. Duckies. I actually felt like we'd probably be pretty close in the halftime. I probably imagined probably like a 21, 28, 14 game. That's not close. What am I saying? But those that feels close for what the Ducks expect and what this Autzen fan base wants. And like you said, it's a night game with the expectations of Autzen Stadium. Sometimes, if you don't keep those guys entertained, they do. But when they've had all Friday, well, thankfully it's a Friday. Hopefully, people attend classes. But when you've had a lot of Friday
We're
to
just going
go,
to a discussion, Nick. It's all right. They just got to sit there.
Friday discussions. Oh man, don't flashbacks I don't need. Anyways, those things are going to be not a huge factor, but I do feel like it will be a competitive game in the first two quarters because of what we've seen against Ohio State, but also I think the wear and tear that Ohio State probably put on that team and them having to come all the way out west. It's going to be a lot different for them. They've been out to Autzen before, but you know what? This is a night game against Michigan State. They've been here when it was a nice early preseason game, but this is cold Big Ten October football. We're going to be dealing with this sunset. Sunset there at Eugene will probably be right about second quarter, first quarter.
We can take a peek and find out for sure. But what
Let's
I'll tell
do
you
it.
is that it'll be about about how about halfway through the second quarter-ish. Should sunset
Yeah.
about 6:50-ish, somewhere in there, maybe a little close to the beginning of the second quarter. Either way, it'll be dark by halftime. We'll be under the lights for the second half of this one. It's going to be a lot of fun from Autzen Stadium. I know you said the Ducks are going to come away with 2 turnovers in this game. I'll give you a little prediction as well. The former Spartans able to get home at least once. I'm going to say 1.5 times. I think we see 1.5 sacks at least out of Derek Harmon in this game. One by himself, one where he gets in on it with someone else.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And just because it's Sparty, and I'll give them their respect, I expect some kind of, and Jonathan Smith in general, I expect we might get caught on some kind of a special teams play or trick play. It feels very Michigan State of them to do something like that.
Oh, I could for sure see it happening. A little something from Jonathan Smith just to kind of grab some momentum early wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. If they're sitting at about 10-ish at halftime, I would say that sounds probably about right for this one. About a 24-10 halftime, something like that. Feels right about where I think this one will be at that stage in the game. I can for sure see them getting a trick play early, as you mentioned.
Well, hey, let us know what you guys think down in the comments below, either here on this video or whether you're watching the Once a Duck podcast, or reach out on all the social media, Twitter/X, Instagram. Check out our Facebook page, and obviously Sam's been doing a terrific job of uploading previous episodes to the Instagram, and we're gonna have to fucking do an outro. Oh my God,
All right, cough it
re-recording.
out.
Oh my God.
Get her out.
What just happened? Oh,
Your body felt too much social media promotion happening, and it was like, we got to cut this off.
as soon as the inauthentic, how inauthentic it was for me to say Twitter/X just caused a loogie to back up into the back of my throat and just say, fuck you.
That's that's
Okay.
why that's why I'm always that's why I'm that's the trick, right? It's like what Hulk said. You don't be authentic and then inauthentic. Just always be inauthentic.
That's fair enough, dude. That is the true way to be kayfabe.
There you
Always
go.
be kayfabe. All right.
All right,
Let
just
us
the outro, then we're good.
Let us know what you guys think, what your prediction is down below, and what you want to see in future Once a Duck episodes. And you can always find us at all the usual social media at Once a Duck, at Nick R. Cody, at Samuel101TS, and we will incorporate those into the next episode. And also let us know what former Ducks you want to see us interview. Sam, I know you're going to be down there having a great time. I'm going to be up here at the Seattle watch party. What do you have to say to Ducks fans as we get out of here this first weekend of October?
Ducks fans, I'm looking forward to seeing all of you again for this 5th game of the season on Friday night. I hope to be tailgating with all of you, having fun with all of you. We look forward to seeing you for this game and every game upcoming this season. Folks, thank you as always for listening. Once again, follow him at Nick R. Cody. Follow me at Samuel101TS. Follow at Once a Duck wherever you are on social media. Nick, Tell them the words. Let's get out of here.
You already know it. Once a duck, always a duck. Thanks for watching and go Ducks.